IBC Bank believes in doing more for local communities. Every year, IBC Bank gives back by investing in countless worthwhile endeavors. IBC Bank invests in our youngest community members by presenting Minitropolis, a school program that teaches students leadership and the importance of responsibility. From supporting local nonprofit organizations to helping present school programs, IBC Bank is devoted to making a positive impact in people's lives and contributing to the prosperity of future generations.
This has been a truly exciting year at IBC Bank. Having challenged ourselves to become the community bank of choice that dominates and delivers on the expectation of leadership. And boy, have we delivered.
IBC Bank offers free checking accounts, is open 7 days a week, even on Sunday. With 29 convenient locations throughout Hidalgo County and convenient hours of service, IBC Bank does more for you. IBC Bank takes pride in organizing events that bring together our community leadership. Outings such as Empresarios and RJV Women with Purpose provide a vital opportunity for business owners and community leaders to unite. Together, we explore and educate the public and business community on events and changes that affect our economy. United we stand, and IBC Bank stands with you to help ensure the continued growth and prosperity of our local communities.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the Monitor's YouTube channel. I'm Naxieli Lopez Puente, and with me today are two candidates for the McAllen School District Place 1 race. This is our third debate, and each candidate will have 1 minute to answer opening remarks, and then 2 minutes to answer actual questions with a 30-second rebuttal. So we would like to thank our sponsor, IBC Bank, and without further ado, let's get started. We will start with Mr. Juan Cano for the opening remarks. Mr. Cano.
Thank you. I'm Juan Cano, and I'm running to be your McAllen ISD School Board Place 1. I decided to run on the fact that we need change. It's time for a change because my opponent, according to McAllen ISD website, is employed by Climate Tech, the parent company of OpenTech since 2014, which has received close to $100,000, again, $100,000 in the past 4 years from McAllen ISD. And it also showed that he is owner and now former owner of Marcos Burgers and Fries, and was awarded to be an eligible vendor to McAllen ISD. All these items and all this business raises an eyebrow, asking ourselves, how does this shade my opponent's ability to be concerned about our children's education? I'm running because I do not want a conflict, and I do not want a business with McAllen ISD. All I want to do is what's right for our students. The budget is to serve and develop educational programs for our students, not to determine how a trustee or our family members can do business with McAllen ISD. Excuse my energy and passion, but I'm an educator. My passion is to serve our students, our staff, and our community. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Suarez, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Monitor and IBC Bank for sponsoring this, but more importantly, thank IBC Bank for being a partner with McAllen ISD. My name is Marcos Suarez, and I'm your school board trustee in Place 1. I've had the pleasure of serving this community for more than 4 years. I started with being the PTO president at Garza Elementary, where I was engaged with my students, with my kids' schooling. But more importantly, I am a proud member of McAllen ISD. I've lived here all my life. I attended Milam Elementary, Lincoln Middle School, and McAllen High School. My kids attend McAllen ISD, and I am a product of McAllen ISD. I'm serving on the board because I was asked to by teachers and the community, and it's been a pleasure serving this community.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for being here again. We're going to get started with our questions, and you know, the hottest topic right now, school finance reform, HB 3. And we will begin questions with you, Mr. Suarez.
Perfect.
If there's one thing, again, legislators can agree on is that teachers deserve a higher pay. Now, just how to get that money to them is currently in question.
No doubt.
You know, should teachers receive a $5,000 across the board raise, or should they receive significantly less, about $1,800, and give the district a little bit more leeway to decide how to distribute the rest of those funds? Where do you stand on this issue?
Well, if I was a betting man, I'm going to tell you that there's controversy now what's going to happen between the House and the Senate. If I was a betting man, I think they're going to blame each other and nothing's going to happen. But either way, I know that everybody needs to get a pay increase. The heartbeat of the district obviously are the teachers, but all the components involved which is the bus driver, the cafeteria, the custodians, the principals. All that is the blood that runs through the heart. So my take is that a raise needs to be across the board, not just for teachers, but for everyone. Whether that is going to happen or not, you know, I don't think that we need to dictate to our teachers whether or not it's our decision. If it's a state decision, then we need to respect that. But more importantly, I think that what we're doing now at McAllen ISD is we're not hinged upon the district or what the state does. Every time we balance a budget, we always, for the past 3 years, advocated some form of pay increase. If we were to always just depend on the state, nothing would ever get done.
Okay, great. Mr. Cano, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
I'm not going to be redundant, but if it happens, it's going to happen. But one thing that I'm concerned about is our veteran teachers. There's a large gap between how much a first-year teacher makes and how much a veteran teacher makes. And one of the things that I want to speak out is that no matter how much raise we give the teachers, we also have to be concerned about losing students. At the end, that does affect their funding. And if we continue still losing students, where are we going to get that funding?
Okay, thank you so much. Now, this question is for you. Should all support staff be included in an across-the-board pay raise, and should it be equal to the amount that that teachers get?
All support staff, I mean, they're also help out the school district. They help our children. They help our students. They should be included and also in the raise. Like I said, it's supposed to be across the board, and that's what is best. But also have veteran staff. I mean, how much are they making? Is it almost the same as new staff members that are coming in? I mean, we have to take all those things into account. Also, I mean, but again, it's the same thing. If we're still keep on losing students and we don't attack that problem right now, it's going to create a whole issue in the future.
Great. You have a 30-second rebuttal.
Yeah, no doubt in our mind that all the pay rate should be across the board. And it's based on a percentage, of course, so that it's equal. There is some fallacies in which my opponent is talking about, and that is that the veteran teachers, there's a gap, but that gap exists when you don't do the pay increases every year. If there's a lapse, then you fall behind and the gap continues to widen. So it's important that everybody gets a raise across the board.
Okay, great. And speaking about pay, merit pay, Superintendent Jay Gonzalez recently wrote a letter to the governor advocating for merit pay. Some local educators disagree with that idea. Where do you stand on this issue, and should teachers be paid based on how well their students do in the classroom?
I come from the private sector, and I'll tell you that in the private sector, your pay should be based upon, you know, what you accomplish, and kind of like a sales job. Teaching is different, and one of the things that I've learned, especially at McAllen ISD, is that a lot of the success is done with collaboration between teachers. They team teach. If you were to have a merit pay, there'd be no incentive at all to do any kind of team teaching at all, because you would want to succeed over, it becomes a competition. I think what the state was looking at one time, and which I would be in agreement with, is reward the districts that do well. And so now it's a team effort. And if that was the case, the McAllen ISD would definitely see an increase in funding.
You have a 30-second rebuttal, Mr. Cano.
Well, merit pay, I'm not in favor of merit pay. One of the things is if we see the most successful companies such as Facebook, Google, I mean, they have been successful because of team players. They're team players, and that's what it is with our district. All our teachers, every staff member, all of us are supposed to work together as a team to better the education of our students. So that's why I don't support merit pay.
Okay, great. Excuse me. Now, speaking of merit pay, standardized testing seems to go hand in hand with it. But as we've recently seen, there are issues with the current testing system. How can teachers' performances be measured, and should they be measured against each other?
Well, that creates an issue. If you have to take into account a student's profile, or each teacher is going to get the same student profile. There's no way. Each student has a different student profile, so that we have to take that into account. How can we come up with a measuring system, quantitative measuring system, where you're actually taking into account qualitative issues? So that's why it's not a good idea. But if the states, I mean, unfortunately, the state's accountability system is based on our test scores and other factors. But we have to come up with a system that fosters to increase the educational quality of our students. Again, we're losing students. And if we're losing students, it's either because of the quality of education or other factors, but we need to attack that problem. Thank you.
You have a 30-second rebuttal.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think anyone in this room or anyone out there watching believes in standardized tests, but it's unfortunate that that's what we have to go by. But I think a teacher's also evaluated by parents, by principals, and every year when that evaluation is done, the success is not always measured by what the test scores is, but by the progress of the child through benchmarking, through attitudes, through anything else. It's important that we take into consideration that it's not only standardized testing on how they're evaluated.
Great. Let's talk about the bond. In 2015, voters rejected a $297 million bond that was meant to address overcrowding and renovations at certain campuses. How has this district been able to meet the needs without having this money from the bond?
Very easily, by listening. I think we listened to our community. We had a new evaluation put into place, which was the forecast committee, in which we had input from the community, from teachers, from principals, from board members. And what we saw for many years that was happening was that money was not being spent on fixing the problems. And so we've allocated the $32 million to fix our facilities. And now some might argue that they're just cosmetic problems, but if you don't fix those now, they become a bigger problem later. And one thing you'll see is that the community has rallied behind the school district and has been very supportive. The recent, TRE that we just passed, it passed by over 70%, which was the amount that the bond lost by, which means the community is in favor of the things that are happening in the district.
Mr. Cano, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
One of the things about the bond, I mean, I'm not in favor of the bond, but we have to look at the numbers. I mean, right now I have here documentation from open records that we're losing students. Up to February the 21st, we already lost 660 students. And that's one thing that we have to take care of the problem in the future, not just use and allocate funds just for air conditioning, roof, and other cosmetic problems. I mean, we have to attack the issue. Why are they leaving? Are we investing enough in educational programs? That's what I would look at.
Okay, great. And my next question is about enrollment. So, aside from marketing, what else can a district do to not only retain those students, but attract other students?
One of the things that we can do is school culture. And what do we mean by school culture? I don't mean about changing everything that we're doing. It's just simple fact. I mean, simple fact, if you have a school district that's welcoming across the board, what happens? Parents, the community are welcomed. They're invited. They come because they feel that invitation. Another thing is increase the quality to our programs, increase CTE programs. We got to look also at the job market. What are the NIC market right now, the NIC jobs? It's not just about, I mean, it's welding, but there's also NIC markets such as pipe fitting. I mean, recently I went to one of our local schools here, and I was overseeing what are the NIC markets for pipe fittings, what are the NIC markets for welding. Is it just underwater welding? Is it just pipe welding? No, there's other markets that also available for our students to tap in. Also for universities, I mean, it isn't just the local universities, anywhere. And also, we have to have a system in which the students can have access to scholarships. How are they gonna proceed in finding those scholarships? And the school district has to have a certain system, and we have to work together to come up with those solutions.
Okay, great. You have a 30-second rebuttal.
I wish I had an hour. You got to be part of a winning team, and that's what we are. McAllen ISD has the A rating. It has a post-secondary distinction. We have an IB program that is #1 in the world. We have a music program that is second to none. And what his stats aren't telling you is that over 1,100 kids have transferred from surrounding districts because they believe in McAllen ISD. If we continue to produce, we have to remember that that is what's attracting people from other districts to come to us. We lose kids because people move out of here. That's something that we can't control.
Okay. And so for your question, what has McAllen done to bring these students in?
Perfect. That's a great question. And this is what I think separates us from everyone else. But before I get to that, I will tell you that the problem that we face now is it starts at a national level. When you have a Secretary of Education that is pro-charter schools, you look at our state legislation, it's all pro-charter schools. So the odds are stacked against us. What everyone, or what my opponent doesn't tell you, is that every single district around in the state of Texas is losing kids to charter schools. But more importantly, what are we doing? We're out there knocking on doors. We're producing. We have programs that no one else has. For now, for example, CTE, we have a drone certification. That's a reason to come to McAllen ISD. We can get kids that are employable now. We look at our Strides program for special eds kids that we're teaching them career skills and life lesson skills that I think it's important for people to understand. If the surrounding districts continue to see what's happening, either they're going to start doing what we're doing or they're going to lose their kids to us.
You have a 30-second rebuttal, Mr. Cano.
Well, numbers are hard. I mean, basically, we're both in business. We know if we see the number of students coming in and compare it with the number of students coming out, we're still at a deficit. And like I told you, I have the open records. We're at a deficit of 660 students as of February 21st. Now, what can we do to bring back our children? Well, we got to look into other schools. Other schools are doing something, obviously they're doing something well, that they're taking our kids to those schools. Now, we have to attack the problem about losing students. Why? Because as we lose students, other schools open up more schools with those students, and that's the bottom line.
Great. Speaking about CTE, excuse me, that's a big buzzword right now. Everybody wants to make sure that students are, college ready or have a 2-year certificate that will prepare them for the future. Where do you think McAllen stands right now? What can it do to improve?
Well, McAllen has good programs for CTE. We need to improve the facilities, and also we need to have access to more different job markets, stick markets, like I said previously. I mean, there's other job markets that cater to CTE programs. How well can we implement it in our school district? How can we bring in those to our students to make them job ready? But also, never forget, we never have to forget that we also have to work with them so they can be college ready in case in the future they have a change of mind and they want to go into the university or higher education.
Perfect. 30-second rebuttal.
This is where not being from McAllen, I think separates me. McAllen ISD has been very creative in how we do things. He talks about facilities, but what he doesn't understand is that we've partners up with people who do have the certification that help us out, like STC, like UTRGV, like career schools that come and offer their services to McAllen ISD. The thing that we're doing now is we partner up with the Chamber of Commerce, we partner up with the EDC, and we go out there and get these CTE certifications that are needed to employ our students.
Okay, great. Next question. Mr. Suarez, when we asked our readers to submit questions to us, many of them want to know about a business you used to own.
Sure.
And an alleged conflict of interest
Sure.
that you may have failed to disclose.
Right.
So would you like to set the record straight here?
Most.
Did you fail to disclose a conflict of interest?
Absolutely not. My opponent and other people have asked for the open records. All of it is there. Prior to me being on the board, I owned a restaurant, which was Marco's Burgers, and it was I got elected. Since I was elected, I sold the business a year later. Last year, my niece sold $363 to McAllen ISD, as opposed to Chick-fil-A and Whataburger, who were $200,000 to $300,000. My brothers own Coco's. They also had they've also done business prior to me being on the board. These are $6 meals that they sell. If the conflict of interest was signed, that means the state understands that some people that are elected do businesses, okay? The reason why we sign a conflict of interest is to acknowledge the fact that we're doing business and we're doing it legal. For the past 7 years, McAllen has been audited by the state of Texas, in which 4 years I've been elected, none of which have seen any kind of violation. Now, he attests to Climatech, the company I worked for. I just got employed last year by them. And 2003 is the first year they did business with McAllen ISD, okay? And all they do is they have service contracts. I don't sell service contracts. I make no money off the district.
Great. You have a 30-second rebuttal.
Well, I have the open records, like I said, and I want to congratulate McAllen ISD for being so transparent. But I mean, when you're talking about OpenTech, it still goes directly. It's still the parent company. Climatech is parent company for OpenTech. And when you talk about $1,000 every single month for certain campuses, and then you add up everything in the past 4 years, it adds up close to $100,000. Give it 20 or $20 less or so. But again, a conflict is a conflict of interest at the end. Even if you disclose it, even if it's legal, it raises an eyebrow, and it can shade also your vision on what is it that you want for the students.
Okay, next question is for you. Do you have faith in the superintendent, Mr. Cano?
Yes, I do have faith in the superintendent that he'll do the best what's best for our students. Sometimes we might not agree completely with the superintendent, but at the end, everybody needs to be successful, because here what is important is the education of our students, the education of our children. That is what's most important, and we have to work together, and we need to be a team, because if we're not a team, then we go into what's called separate agendas, and we can't have that, because we need to be a team. In order to be successful, we have to work together. And again, it's all about our students. It's all about coming together for their success. If they're successful, we empower our community. Thank you.
You have a 30-second rebuttal.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding. We have districts coming from throughout the state of Texas wondering how we do things here. How are we funded less than everyone else, and how do we have all the accolades that we have? It starts at the top with our leadership. It starts with our superintendent, with our administration, our principals, our teachers, our staff, and our board. There's no reason, the proof is in the pudding, I tell you as well. Our superintendent is second to none, and I believe wholeheartedly, but most importantly, I think the community believes in him.
Okay, great. And this last question, there will be no rebuttal, but both of you will have 2 minutes to respond. What sets you apart from your opponent?
I think experience and character. McAllen, the people of McAllen are very conservative in how they think, and I think being from McAllen separates me, because I understand the culture here. I understand how people think, how we do business. My parents were lifelong business people here. We've always been part of the community. My integrity has never been questioned, and when you come from another city which is known for that, then it muddles the water a bit. But more than anything else, I think that the community has rallied behind what we've done here at McAllen ISD. My kids go and attend McAllen ISD. I'm a product of McAllen ISD. I was engaged in my kids' schooling, and I think that's important. I think that's what separates me from my opponent. But I think more important than that is that my pledge has been from the very beginning to listen to people, listen and act, and that's exactly what I've done.
All right. What sets you apart from Mr. Suarez?
Well, one of the things, it doesn't matter where you're from. At the end, for example, both of us, the decisions that our superintendent makes, even though he's not from McAllen, we still trust that he's doing the best for our students. And I'm from McAllen. I invested in McAllen. Why do I say that I'm from McAllen? Because I decided to live in McAllen since 13 years ago. I decided to invest my business in McAllen. Why? Because I do believe in our community. Now, like I said, it's sad to judge sometimes parents without being in their shoes why some of their kids, or in my case, my son with a disability, that he goes to another school. And we have to understand that as a parent, and I'm not saying just me, also my opponent, and like everybody else, wants the best for their children. But what do you do when the school district does not offer those services for your children? You outsource for the best.
All right. We are going to end with some closing remarks. Each candidate will have a minute. We will start with Mr. Cano.
Okay. Well, thank you. Well, my opponent was looking for employment and contracts relative. My son and other children with special needs suffer without services that are available in other districts. But once that he take the time that he placed on self-serving matters on the issue of special needs children, and that is why I bring it up. And that is what I want to do. I want to change. I want to change how the district it's taken its approach to special education program, but not just special education program, also for art programs and other programs. In total, if you vote for Juan Cano, I assure you there won't be a conflict of interest with me, and I assure you that what I do is the best for our students, our staff, and our community. Thank you.
Mr. Suarez, you have 1 minute for closing remarks.
Thank you. And I'm not going to blame my opponent for not knowing the procurement process at McAllen ISD. But more importantly, I ask you as a voter to look at my past record and look at what's happened and transpired in the last 4 years at McAllen ISD. You have districts coming to McAllen ISD to find out what we're doing. I mean, it's a true testament that the community has rallied behind us, and this board has been recognized by HEB Excellence Awards as being one of the top boards in the entire state of Texas. And I'm proud to say that I'm part of that. And I will continue to be a part of this community no matter the outcome of the election. But 4 years ago I made a pledge, and that was to listen more and talk less. And that's exactly what I've done. Whether you look at what's happened with the special needs programs, whether you look at what's happened with the IB program, whether you look at what's happening with our facilities, all those questions that people had have been answered, and they will continue to be answered. There is 100% transparency, and I will continue to advocate for that at McAllen ISD.
All right. Well, we want to thank both of our candidates for showing up today. And again, we want to remind our viewers that you can, excuse me, catch this in its entirety on themonitor.com and to join us for the next debate at 10 o'clock. Thank you so much. Thank you again, and we'll see you in a bit.
Thank you.
IBC Bank believes in doing more for local communities. Every year, IBC Bank gives back by investing in countless worthwhile endeavors. IBC Bank invests in our youngest community members by presenting Minitropolis, a school program that teaches students leadership and the importance of responsibility. From supporting local nonprofit organizations to helping present school programs, IBC Bank is devoted to making a positive impact in people's lives and contributing to the prosperity of future generations.
This has been a truly exciting year at IBC Bank. Having challenged ourselves to become the community bank of choice that dominates and delivers on the expectation of leadership. And boy, have we delivered.
IBC Bank offers free checking accounts, is open 7 days a week, even on Sunday, with 29 convenient locations throughout